Hello guys, welcome back. Yes, oh my goodness, a gorgeous sunny day in March the 12th. We're here for another episode of the BJ Show. Let's again Aidan to come back to another episode, and he's right next to me on the BJ Show. So let's get a little bit of applause. Aidan, welcome mate.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to today's show. Ben, what have we got on tap today?
So, thank you for asking. So, in today's Tuesday, 12th of March, Aidan and I will be sharing some thoughts on the new season of the AFL team reviews. So, we'll go through that. The big and amazing, the season reviews for the ladder. The opening round, we'll go through that. The biggest one, round one, is here. Thursday night footy, can't wait. Richmond Carlton will spend 80,000. We'll have the special edition of Aidan of the week. Aidan will also share in 90 seconds with so much sport out. As I mentioned, we'll discuss this a bit about the opening round, zero round, like what's to do with number equals, 0-1 opening, it's a bit confused with AFL, this NRL, and any other business as well. So, that's a bit of an idea. So, I don't know what to actually begin, because this is that first time having a co-host. And let's start off, Aidan, what is the special thing you've been doing this week?
So this week in the world of sport, the best thing that I saw was the Carlton fans at the game against Brisbane. They could have walked out of there at halftime when it was horrible and it was miserable and they were losing by 46 points and Brisbane were trying to go to the premiership, but they stuck around and lo and behold, Carlton come back, got the win. So big win for Carlton, big win for Carlton fans. So hopefully they come up and keep going with that and continue into the season.
So, that is Aidan's special I saw this week. So, let's now get into, just completed, opening round, zero round, confusing from my end. Let's just get a little bit of a review as discussion. Quite honest with you, it's great for seeing Sydney and Queensland get, that's the whole idea. But, we got the rugby, as we'll discuss about some special announcements first time, clashing with rugby and opening round the AFL wants in having maybe doing a Sunday, spread the full games over Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, just to make sure it's all open. But with Sunday, people do like the rugby as well, so you don't really want to clash. So unfortunately, I got 2 out of 4, but start with Sydney over Melbourne. The biggest comeback, and brave for Carlton, because I think Carlton are totally up there. And welcome to Michael Voss, versus former club, as a player, 20 years ago, he knows how to coach in Brisbane. He played in Brisbane, he knows the ground, and they got great support with coming through to Gold Coast, Damien Hardwick, versus formal coaching team, Richmond. I think Richmond just looked not strength. They did have their moment, but you can't win one quarter of footy. That is the third quarter. You got to win 4 quarters of footy. And Gold Coast, well deserved. Yes, it's just a game, as we'll discuss that. And then also a bit of a Saturday night Giants Pies, saying as a team, you go. It doesn't matter where you play. GWS, well done being the pioneers, because look out, the teams, Adelaide, Essendon, Fremantle, Geelong, Hawthorn, North Melbourne, Port Adelaide, St Kilda, West Coast and Western Bulldogs are looking over these teams and saying, we got them. So, Aidan, I'm going to share you with your thoughts of the opening round.
Yeah, so look, I want to go through the games one by one. So, starting with Sydney, Brody Grundy is a massive pickup for the Swans. So,
absolutely.
They looked very good on Thursday night when they played Melbourne. I think that they actually grounded Melbourne out eventually. The second quarter was 8 points to 6 points. That is the most un-Melbourne quarter of football I've ever seen and the most Sydney quarter of football I've ever seen all at the same time. So that's not going to work every week. They need to build form and can they continue to form into the regular season. What I'm going to call the regular season, because I've got my own things to say about round 0 later on. Going on to Melbourne. So that was a very, very shaky game for them. I don't know where they are, like, how they're going to stack up. I don't think they're going to be real premiership contenders this year, which is unfortunate because they've come off that premiership 2-3 years ago now, and they've just never looked like they're going to get back there. Two straight exits in a row for Melbourne. For them, maybe, getting into the 8 would be a goal for them this year. So those concerns from last year are just going to continue and probably get deeper. Moving into Friday night football, so Brisbane looked like they had that game. When you were 46 points up at home, you do not throw that away after.
Absolutely.
And the last game they played before that actually counted, do you know what the game that was? That was the grand final last year. And they arguably should have won that game too. So for Brisbane, they couldn't ride the runs of September completely. They started hot. They started like, Carlton, what have you done here? You're gone. Brisbane's the one that fell away in the end. So talking of Carlton, they are genuine contenders. If they can pull that off, they are genuine contenders to win the premiership. I don't see any reason why Carlton are not going to be looking at themselves being over a top 4 side this year.
Yeah.
You've put the marker down. You don't know what Port Adelaide's up to. We don't know what Adelaide's up to. I think GWS is going to be up there as well, and we'll get to them in a minute. But I'm thinking, normally you say someone misses out on a grand final. This year, I think someone's going to miss out on a prelim, and that's going to be the team that's devastated, not the team that misses out on the grand final. Because I think there's going to be 5 teams going for 4 spots at the preliminary final stage. Moving on to Saturday afternoon football. Where do I begin with this? This is the most absolute fast I've ever seen. You set up a game where you go, Damien Hardwick, you can play your former club in your first game as coach of Gold Coast. Now that's all fine, it's all well and good. Gold Coast, they are going to be a very good team this year. So they started at a top 4 level. Yes, they are. And I don't know if it was, the weather up there or just that was just their peak football for the year. I hope it's not. But then they just fell to their usual standard, got completely outclassed in the third quarter and had to grind out the last to get the win. And for Richmond, unfortunately for you guys, I think you guys are going to be sitting down the bottom 5 this year. So luckily for the other teams down there, you'll be joining them because you're on a slide now. No coaching, no re-roll, and anybody who's left for those premiership days is getting a lot older as well. So you need to start bringing in these young guys and giving them a chance to play football so you can come back. Because you don't want to wait another 35 years for a premiership. Saturday night football, we had GWS versus Collingwood. So I was amazed. I was honestly amazed. I thought Collingwood would walk into that game at GWS and be like, we are the premiers. And as you were saying, Ben, walking into the ground, and it wasn't even round 1, it was round 0. Walking to round 0 and being like, we are premiers. We know we're premiers. We know we're the better team. We beat you in the prelim last year to get the premiership. But GWS blew them away with their football. Every time they get the ball forward, there was an open play. I don't know if it was GWS were on that night or Collingwood were off defensively. Every time GWS, whether it was like Brown or Green or somebody, there was always an open play for GWS in that forward 70-75. And that set up a lot of opportunities for them. Collingwood, I think they're going to be there again. They will come back from this. That mix of elite teams in the AFL who are going to contend for a premiership, that's getting very crowded this year. I don't think there's going to be 4 teams that we say genuine contenders come, round 10, round 11. I think there's going to be 5 or 6 teams that we say genuine contenders come round 10, round 11. And that's a testament to the growth of clubs around them. So, like Adelaide themselves, even the Crows, I think, could be a top 4 side this year because they can hang with the top 4 sides last year. Every game. Yeah, absolutely. Every game those young guys develop, they're just going to get better. I'm looking at Adelaide, I'm looking at GWS, I'm looking at Carlton, Brisbane, Collingwood, and dare I say it, Port Adelaide, unfortunately. I think they might find a way to hang around like a bad smell. But that's enough from me about the happenings in the AFL on opening round, and we'll move on. Yeah, so just changing, we can back into a combo, like you've got other news I'd like to share, we'll get into that, but tell me about this, this is huge in Australia, it's not Aussie rules, but rugby, come to the US in Las Vegas. Share a little bit about that, because that's something that really wasn't announced on national news, didn't really set a big deal about it. I didn't knew about it till
it even happened. So tell me like a few words, Aidan.
Alright, so rugby league. Now, this is the thing I wanted to talk about today. Something big I wanted to talk about today was rugby league had their own opening round per se. Now, unlike the AFL, rugby league's round 0 was actually part of round 1, where it made actual sense because it's round 1 and everybody's playing in round 1. It's not round 0 with like 8 teams. But what they did, and this is what I want to talk about, the AFL missed out on an opportunity here because Rugby League Australia had 2 games on the 3rd of March at the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Rugby League went to Las Vegas to open their season. What did the AFL do? A game at the SCG on a Thursday night. A game at the Gabba on a Friday night. Those were the first 2 games of the NRL versus the first 2 games of the AFL. Let me tell you which 2 games I was more excited for. The games at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas that the NRL put out. Now, if you're the AFL, if you want to do round 0 again, do it as actually part of round 1 and just have some sides go on opening weekend, but not a separate round, just part of round 1, where you play, I don't care where you play, you can play games in Japan, you can play games in, North America as well, you can go back to China, you can send Port Adelaide back to China if you want, you can play games in Europe if you want. Actually pretty good. But it's a real kind of kick in the pants to the AFL. And earlier before the seasons were starting, I know the CEO of rugby came out and said, of rugby league came out and said that rugby league is actually got more appeal than AFL. And I wouldn't have believed them until they went to Las Vegas. The same stadium that held the Super Bowl about 6 weeks prior, about a month prior, hosted 2 rugby games, and they were a lot more fun to watch than the 2 standard AFL games. Like, the AFL is, probably got a broader reach in Australia. That's a given because it has clubs in every state. I think rugby right now has the greater international reach, and I think the CEO of Rugby League is absolutely correct. As a brand, as an international brand, it has more appeal than AFL because it can get these games overseas. It can get these games in massive stadiums. I don't care if the AFL plays them in farms in the Middle East. Put the games overseas and then you can compete with rugby on an equal level. But as far as the opening round is concerned, that's a big win for rugby league.
Yeah, and I think my point is, and my advice is more anything like that, try and get a Aussie rule game in America, or they've had games in Shanghai. I remember St Kilda and Port Adelaide play there. Everywhere you see now than 20 years ago, Australian rules was people still call it VFL, which is wrong because it's not about the VFL. It's 18 teams. It's Australian Football League. So, and same with National Rugby League is in Australia sport. So, thank you so much for that great little information, because it's great to know that you can't just rely on one sport. Going huge and funding for the rugby league, it's really important. So thank you for that. So as I mentioned in the intro, we're going to do teams. So we're going to do about we mentioned a few teams already in the opening round. 0 round. We're going to discuss about 2023 ladder. So how can we're going to do is we're going to do 6 teams from the bottom to the top, as we've discussed those teams already, but we'll have, this is a different topic, such as we're going to think about what we thought what this team will do. So I will do one team at a time, and 2 minutes or something like that. And then after that, we'll finish off with your 90-second sports, because I think you're very keen of that. So, West Coast. Now, oh my goodness, West Coast Eagles. What can I record West Coast? That, not just the word brave, that, yes, got retirement players. And what I can say, I think there'll be a little bit of touch of magic. You see in the preseason I went to the LA Crows and West Coast, and they look a bit, in a preseason game, we don't see that in a premiership season. So we saw some great moments. Remember when Adelaide and West Coast played in the early 2000s? 05, 06 in the 20-finals. With, like, for example, like Dinkoff, how, like, a best ruck coach going to Sydney, apprenticeship and played great football at West Coast, should be, like, my advice, coach at West Coast, because I think West Coast need that to win the ball. They've gone back to the ruck contest. I didn't even know that was a rule in the book. Say 20 years ago, you can go when the ball's in the air, you can go and tap. Before that, you got to tap it. So it's changed over time. Some people do both, but you are allowed to use your body in the ruck contest, and that's fine. Like, good on them. So my points with West Coast, I think hopefully they can reach up. Not much. They didn't have Oscar Allen in that preseason game, which is okay. But I think they'll be, look out for West Coast, because I think they'll kick their butts off from 18th. Aidan.
Yep, so let's move on to talking more about West Coast and what they've got. So for me, when I look at West Coast, I think that they're going to have, it's still going to be a bad year by their standards, and there's no way to get around that. There's no nice words to say about that. But they'll definitely be more than last, and I think they'll sort of be around, 5 or 6 wins would be, a bad year for them. They could probably get to 7 wins with what they've got. If everything goes well for them and there's no injuries and Harley Reid plays well, they're looking at 7 to 8 wins.
Absolutely. And we also saw their number 1 draft pick playing for West Coast against the Coast, and he looked really dangerous. Like, well done. Welcome to the AFL, mate. Best of wishes at West Coast. Now, North Melbourne. Now, Alison Clarkson, mate. Best wishes, good luck on your season coming through, mate. I think hopefully you'll get some more wins. I think you will. They've got some great players, and with North Melbourne, I think that's going to be some, a little bit better. Like they did start so well. They also was a shock, but unfortunately, can they get maybe 5 wins, 6 wins to make sure they are in the contest? Maybe, a nice general, maybe between 20 points. That's a great effort, but I think North Melbourne got hopefully best wishes for them. Aidan?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking for North is, I just don't know, like, I think West Coast going to jump them just because they have the list stock, and because West Coast have the list stock, it makes them a better team when they're all available. North Melbourne, however, I think are still a few years away from having a decent list stock when players do go out to have good depth and good reserves, and having incidents like what happened in the pre-season just does not help. Especially a team with a lot of young players who are trying to, just get into the game. The easiest way to get into the game is by playing winning football. Like, you can just play, you can get 35 touches on debut and get beaten by like 100 points and your name's not mentioned. But if you get 35 touches on one of your first games and you're winning that game and you win that game at the end, you get mentioned, and that's just as big for a young player as just getting the 35 touches. So for North Melbourne, I think the only way they need to improve is just to get the results on the board, because they've got a lot of young guys who are ready to take that next step, and that next step is just getting the wins on the board.
There is some good moments there. So let's get into, we've got a few more teams, so we'll get into the next one is Hawthorn. So yes, Hawthorn is still on the rebuild, but I think they can take one step forward. They are not finals contenders. We'll mention the next things very, very shortly. With Hawthorn, oh my goodness. In regards into the opening round, Gold Coast Richmond, I'm stuck on the same. Seeing with Sam Mitchell and the Hawks, I think they do have a great, alright list, but can they play full quarters of football? I think they can at moments of the season. They've got believe, like they almost beat Adelaide Crows in Tassie, but Adelaide got the job done. But they play good footy, and they still play well in Tasmania. You'll be surprised. But yeah, let's just make it short and sharp. Best wishes for Hawthorn season 2020.
Yeah, so I think for Hawthorn, they're going to be joining North Melbourne down the bottom again this year.
Absolutely.
It's not a question of talent. It's a question of what talent the rest of the league has, and the rest of the league has better talent than what Hawthorn and North Melbourne currently have. Because they've got young guys who need time to develop. You can't just go, oh, we've got the next big thing and think you're the top team in the league. That doesn't happen very often unless you're Collingwood. And the only reason why that happened for Collingwood was because the Dacos family are enshrined in Collingwood history. It's not like you can just pull a Nick Dacos out of the air every day and go to win a premiership. So for Hawthorn, not having that, they're going to have to start at the bottom and come up again. And I know it's hard for them. I know it's hard for Hawthorn supporters to deal with that because my uncle's a Hawthorn supporter. But that's how footy goes. If you win a premiership, you've got to come down at some point.
Start from the bottom to the top, as they say. So, Gold Coast. Now, how long Gold Coast have been in the competition? I think 2011. And I actually remember it was Port Adelaide. Yeah, the Port Adelaide and Gold Coast game, Aidan, I tell you right now, that was the best feeling. The same thing, and it's a muddy example, as I'm going to keep saying, the Brisbane and Carlton game. No one saw that coming, and you got a team you got to believe. You got a pack house football park back in the day. I'm going to say this is when Gold Coast had all these experienced players come together. They were down by 7 goals. I tip Gold Coast Suns fans, and put out they're gonna win this. And I tell you right now, I was the only one to tip Gold Coast. So they've gone through so much. Has Damien Hardwick the skills against Richmond? They are going to go up the ladder. From what I can see on my screen, 15th place. They are going to get more, and let's just say more 9 wins for the season 2024. They are going to go maybe even past Geelong. I don't think those sexy Geelong Cats are going to be sexy enough. There's no, some of their players are, it's going to be, I would love to see Gold Coast play Geelong and beat them. It'd be an amazing experience. And, I would love to see Gold Coast in that finals. I think see that because it's overdue, and I think it's frustrating for a lot of people. Yeah, Gold Coast they have worked hard since they first arrived. Yes, they went downhill. Now you look at that. Yes, okay, they had sold out games over the opening round, which is wow factor. I've been told from A4360. I watched on YouTube, and they're saying, wow, like you get 25,000, you get maybe about, let's just say it's roughly about 30,000, 40,000 stadium, you get about 30. That's a good effort for Gold Coast. So I'm really hoping to see Gold Coast up the ladder. They are going to be hard against the Crows, and unfortunately, from my points, and it's really very hard now. I have watched Gold Coast play, and they play fast football, and that's what Gold Coast are about. So that's my thoughts on Gold Coast. Over to you, Aidan.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because now I've actually had an actual look at the ladder, like retrospectively the last year. There was only 4 wins between Carlton in 5th and Gold Coast in 15th. That's how tight it was last year.
Yeah, it was.
That's 4 games. That's literally just 4 results that didn't go your way. That's easy to change. Those 4 results are going to come their way this year. They're probably going to end up on the edge of the top 4, I reckon. They easily could be 5th or 6th. I think this year the league can be, after that top 5 or top 6, the league can be a lot more spread out. And that's going to be the Gold Coast advantage. Having Damien Hardwick come in, because they already have the list. And this is the thing people forget about this Damien Hardwick's move to Gold Coast. He doesn't have to rebuild that list. They've already got the list. They've got Matt Rao, they've got Ken, they've got Anderson, they've got Lukosius, they've got so many others, Rosas.
Miller.
The list is there to put it together and play September football. So for Gold Coast, don't worry about last year. That happened. You've got Damien Hardwick now. You're going to be fine. You're going to be playing finals.
Absolutely. And I think you mentioned to say Miller is in that mix, but absolutely that is hard to beat. So we're almost there, guys. Now, I know my team, the LA Crows, will be sharing at different time. 3 until Dockers. So what can I didn't really look at any of those clubs, and Aidan, if you did saw your team play, I don't know. I actually don't know, but I'll do my best. My theory. So with Fremantle Dockers, yes. As we saw in the awards show, we saw that, guys. Pathetic was not the best, nicest way, but I was so nice to you with your Fremantle Dockers. And I tell you right now, have Fremantle Dockers go dock and they can land. They're much better than West Coast. I thought, look, I think Fremantle went from 5th to 14th. Do they can rise a little bit? Of course. Because every team can be improvable. But I think Fremantle will be, around where they are, maybe a little slightly higher. Yeah, but unfortunately, I didn't didn't do my homework on that part. Lol. Ha ha ha. So I think, do I see Fremantle Dockers playing finals? I don't think so. But in a few years, I think, I think in a couple of years, I think so. So there you go, Aidan, over to you.
Are you absolutely sure you want to give me the microphone and talk about my Fremantle Dockers? Are you absolutely sure about that?
Yeah, I actually have no idea. I have not checked the team and how they play in pre-season, unfortunately.
Well, here we go. The season hasn't even started for Fremantle, and I've already had enough of their efforts. We played a practice game against Port Adelaide, right? Perfect practice game. The third quarter of a practice game, we did not register a score in a quarter of football in a practice game. This is the board, the CEO, the director of football says we're going up. Well, there is a reason that this club has not won a premiership. It's because of efforts like that. I'm worried because they are going down. Every time I look at them, something else happens. I don't even want to know about what happens in round 1 against Brisbane. I don't even want to know about that. This is a team who I've gone for since 2000. I've spent 24 years of my life supporting this club, and I'm about ready to walk. If they do not give me finals football this year, but Fremantle, the talent to improve is there, but they're not going to improve because they don't want it in their head. They're happy to be a 14th place side. That's a mental problem that the club has had for a long time. We're happy to just be the team that sits kind of, 2 or 3 games out of finals but not in danger of falling very low. And if that's the mentality of this football team, I hope it changes because I've had enough of that. Football teams are designed to win premiership, not sit in 14.
So we'll get into Richmond straight away. Now, Richmond Tigers. Now, they're not near. Wake up, Richmond. You go and play a team is, maybe to say, you're behind, but you're in front of last year Gold Coast Suns. You can't walk into a door, say, yes, Damien hard work, yes, you've gone to Gold Coast coach. Don't worry about your former coach. You got a new coach. Let's just focus on that new one. I know it's opening round. That's game 1. It's out the open. Yes, you had your moment. It's the 4th quarter. That is the comeback. And yes, premiership quarter is the 3rd quarter, but you gotta hold it in. You can't let go. Your skills was disgusting against Gold Coast. I just didn't see the Richmond premiership team. Yes, you didn't have your best stars on the field. Don't worry about them. You got to actually wake up, Richmond, because you are not a top 8 team. Okay, Sean, and I tell you right now, that's my thoughts. Aidan, over to you.
Yeah, Ben, exactly well said. My team, I can have a crack at wherever I want. And guess what, Richmond? Somehow you're going to finish holding Fremantle as well this year.
Ha ha ha.
I don't know how you're going to do it, but you're going to do it. Yeah, in all seriousness, no. The premiership Richmond is over. Even the coach is gone. You're going to struggle for a couple of years because I don't see a lot of talent in the next group of young Tigers coming up. So I'm going to put you down the bottom with, well, I've got Freo down there. I've got North Melbourne down there. I've got Hawthorn down there. And I've got West Coast down.
Oh, that was nice and sharp and sweet. Now, we're going to have to end with the final team now. This is my second team, and oh my goodness, you always have to have a second team now. With my uncle being Geelong, I do have another uncle who goes for Essendon, and that'll be a different time to share as well. But that's okay. So, let's to not making finals. Now, yes, experience. Geelong did have the oldest list in the AFL. Adelaide Crows went through that. And I tell you right now, I understood why. You got to bring in young kids, and that's what Adelaide Crows has done since 2020. Yes, Adelaide Crows went bottom. Yes, they did that. But they have proved themselves from 18th spot to 10th in 3 years. Matthew Nix is a champ, the coach at the Adelaide Crows. But come on, Geelong, get a young kid list. I know your facial expressions like... Anyway, on serious points, Geelong... can't see it. They're going to be a hard team as they're all. Yeah, they're not sexy enough to be Geelong in season 2024. Aidan.
No, in all seriousness, Geelong, I think, needs to go down as well. I don't think they're going to fall too hard because they do have some young talent that's come through like Max Holmes, but they need more. They need more Max Holmes. I think for Geelong, just having a full reset, maybe just getting a new coach. You could finish, 12th or 13th and easily attest to getting a new coach and going again. I don't think I've got the talent to fall, but I don't think I've got the talent to go up. So if they finish where they finished last year, sort of, 12th, 13th, it might be time to just get a new coach and start again. With that said, you never know what the veterans can pull out. They might have one last run in them, but then again, they might also be on walking canes by the end of the year. So for Geelong, I think that just another, 10, 11 win season, start again, get a new coach, let these guys retire in their own time if you want to. They're not going to be competing for a premiership this year. And I think that's all the previews we have time for this week. So next time we do previews, we'll be starting from Essendon.
Absolutely, and thank you all those that you had your points with your team. Look out. Mine is coming. But in a nice way, as you said to yours. So, other business. Okay, all around the globe, I think Aidan's going to share maybe what I'm thinking. But coming into the National Basketball League, and I'll let you do other sports, maybe NBA and all that on my screen. So, the only team I'll go for, the LA 36ers. So, there is so many big upsets. And I tell you right now, like the biggest one, it was in the West, in my record, if I can get on my screen, that one of their big fellas in Perth, game 1, got unsportsmanlike. Yes, it was harsh. Yes, I saw it was unsportsmanlike. And well done to Tasmania to beating the Perth Wildcats. It's a double header. Melbourne United versus Hawks in Melbourne and in the West. Perth Wildcats, Tasmanian Devil. So my thoughts on why I just bring this very short, very quick. I think Melbourne will be in that mix. I know Wine United. Of course, you can do that. It's another word for team. But bring back the Melbourne Tigers because Tigers is a basketball team. Perth and Tasmania, I'm going for upset. Tasmania over Perth. Very hard to do. And I tell you right now, Tasmania, the first 5 minutes, they were in front. And they went backwards. One of their ports from Perth, yes, okay, his first year at the Perth Wildcats, he responded. He didn't like that as he got whacked. So that's my news for the NBL. Aidan, you had a bit of 90 seconds of your sport news you'd like to share.
Right, it's time to go around the grounds in 90 seconds. Starting off in the Premier League, we have a top 3, 10 games to go, all separated by 1 point. Arsenal and Liverpool are on 64 points. Manchester City is on 63. Liverpool and City, he's got a timer up for me, I'm scared. Liverpool and City play out a 1-1 draw over the weekend. Looking at that, I'm thinking, who can have the title? I don't think it's going to be Arsenal. If I was to put money on any of those teams right now, I'd probably say City. Luka Doncic has been on an absolute tear in the NBA. 7 straight triple-doubles. And this is bringing up the MVP contention. Can he win the MVP on this? Can he get the Dallas Mavericks into a good seed? And we're at that point of the year where the seeds matter. It's about winning games, getting the right seed. Ben, you've already touched on the NBL. I'm going to take one punt though. I'm going to say that Wollongong Illawarra is going to beat Melbourne.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I think LA looking rebuilding for the 36ers. So that is all, Aidan.
I got one more thing.
Okay, over to you.
Before we go into that last thing, you've heard it here first. We're going to go for a Hawks and Jack Jumpers NFL final series. Final thing I have for the news today is Major League Baseball. Midway through spring training with opening day slated for the 28th of March. Most teams now are locking in their opening day pictures. I know the Baltimore Orioles, we're going to go with Corbin Burns. So looking at, the World Series, which is what everyone's after. So the Los Angeles Dodgers are favourites to win the World Series after signing Shohei Ohtani from their crosstown rivals, the Los Angeles Angels. And that's also followed by the Atlanta Braves and the Houston Astros. That's all I've got in this 90 seconds, so we'll be back for another round of 90 seconds around the grounds next time.
Thank you very much. So before we get to add, I'm going to add a little bit of a weather forecast, even let's just get straight into it. So it's been quite cloudy. It's 32 at the moment. So, it's quite warm. Stay hydrated and all. Very important. So tomorrow's been top of 33, 21 over the night. 28, 19, a 50% a chance of rain. So 31, partly clouded 10%. With 33 on both Sunday next Monday and 29, 10%. So small amount of rain from 16th of March to the 19th of March. So, but the big one, it's going to be a big Thursday, my goodness, thank God it's not Melbourne because that'll be a bit not nice, but 28 and that. So, well, guys, oh my goodness, this is one of the biggest episodes, and I would like to thank Aidan for being my co-host.
Always a pleasure to be on here, Ben.
No worries. And as Aidan mentioned before, we'll be sharing the net sits and sometime in the episode on the BJ Show Sports Edition from Essendon. So that's all for today's show. Hope you enjoyed it. Yes, please share my social medias such as YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. I will be keep an eye out with all my special photos. I like the show as well. Give me a follow, give me a like. I appreciate all your support on Insta. 150. Let's get on to that because I tell you, let's get about balance. Thank you for all your likes on Facebook and YouTube as well. Thank you for listening, as I mentioned. For next time on the BJ Show, I am signing up and thank you, Aidan, once again. Goodbye and see you in a fortnight's time.
And that's all we have today, so thank you again for being here. We'll be back in a fortnight, and this is me, Aidan Barry, signing off from the BJ Show.
Bye for now. Peace out.